got us a mini Winnie. Go up here and take a look at our mini Winnie. All right. I have another bay over there. It's a lot lower, but we got something in it, so there's not much we can do. So these are your typical, you know, die-core. Put more on right here, you know. And what happens is this will all breach. This isn't sealed real well. These need to be primed. They're not going to do it at the factory. They just want to get them built, get them out, get them sold. So obviously that was where the air conditioner was. But we're going to tear this thing up. Overall, you know, it's your typical camper roof that if you've watched other videos, that's what they are. But I believe he snagged something all the way down the side. That's why they got all this tape here. So we're going to tear all this apart and get her going. So get her going. Double turn bar up here. That's unusual. We'll investigate that. Sometimes when we take these off, sometimes you have all this caulking right here that'll just, it's sitting there, and now this is been in the sun. This hasn't. So sometimes you're going to see some imperfections, and we do the best we can to get them clean, but we'll try. I'd like to just use this one forward, get rid of this one, and give me a little clearance on the back. So that's what we're working on. We'll make a new boot for this antenna. We'll be all out of the way of that, so we won't have to worry about it. So otherwise, we're going to start tearing it apart and get it going. We got things to do, place to go. All right, back at our mini Winnie. We have got the roofing off, as you can see, and now we got a little bit of rot in that corner, and we have some over here in that corner. And I'm trying to go slow with the camera so I can show you without making you seasick. So we're going to take up all the decking for a couple of reasons. One, we've got that rot that I pointed out. Also, the other reason is the decking isn't glued down, and I don't like it. And I also see a lot of like rusty screws. So I want to see what's going on. I also want to check the air conditioning duct line with that little slot. That tells me we got a trunk line of some sort, probably heading one way or another. And I'm sure there's one on the other side going. So I want to check all that. And then, as per usual, we'll probably find some electrical that's not protected. So I want to check all that before it rolls out of here, so he doesn't have any issues with it. That's where we're at so far. And then we'll also see what we got up underneath. That piece is going to get replaced regardless. So, onward and upward. Well, you can see we got the deck up. And none of it was glued at all. Some of the screws. Let's see if that'll focus for you. Maybe it'll do it if I do this. It's all deformed. So, but there was no glue at all, so we just popped it all loose. And now what we're going to do is we're going to be looking for wires coming up through the wall. We're going to be looking at that trunk line. So let's go over this way. And some of these I already looked. We want to see if there's like a metal ferrule or something in there. And this one doesn't have one. So that's going to be okay. This speaker wire is going to be okay. But the other ones I don't really like so much, like these. Look how rusted out that one already is. And I just don't want this to get pinched in there on that. Let's see if I can get my finger in there and show you. This comes around and there's like a slot there. So it's actually like this. And then when you drive it in, you know, it squeezes so it stays, and then it expands and kind of stays tight. But I don't, well, maybe on the top part over this one you can see it. But I want to protect those. So we're going to do that. We got a little bit of something going on here, so we're going to scrape that off, and we're going to put some mold kill on that. And then, like I said, we're going to check these trunk lines. I just want to make sure they're tight. I want to make sure they're all set. So we'll double check that joint right there. We just want to make sure it is tight. and then there's another one that's going around that way. So we're going to check all this. So right now that's what we're doing, getting some of this decking down, and we want to make sure everything's just right before we put it back. One of the other things you can notice, no glue. There's no glue on here at all. And you got a tape measure on you? Anybody? So when they build these things, they do them as cheap as possible. They count every little fastener, they count everything. That's the CFO, he keeps a real sharp pencil. What I want to try and show you is, look at the spacing. So there's one screw that was there. Thanks. Look how far apart they got these. From the other screw right there to there, about what? That's about 14 inches on that one. That one's about a foot. You know, so what we're gonna do is all of them are spaced out pretty far. There's one here, there's one there. So, you know, that's one other, gee whiz, that's almost 20 inches on that one. So what we're gonna do, that's not enough fasteners for a roof deck, especially one that racks, because these they rack and flex a lot. You may not feel it as you're pulling it, but they do. So we're going to glue these down, and once we get them glued, then we're gonna staple it. And the other reason you wouldn't, even if you had the option to put all these screws in, if you keep putting a lot of screws in there, you're going to split that. So that's not a good fix. The staples work better than the screws in this application. So, and the ones that we use, they're designed for sheathing. You'll rip the sheathing apart before you get that daggone staple out. So, but when again, we're going to glue it all down. So we'll glue, staple, get it all done. Everything will be nice. Mold kill over here, mold kill over there, any other suspicious areas. Get our wiring done right, check all our trunk lines, redeck, and then we're going to end up putting the roof on. So that's what we're doing here. So we're folding it all up. We just want to see, you don't have to actually remove it, we just want to see what's under it, and then we can roll it back down. Actually, sure, go ahead, take if you want to do it and then set it aside. Let's get a vacuum cleaner in here and clean all that stuff out of there. I don't know what it is. Let's get it out and see if there's anything there. You can do one at a time or whatever you want, or set a pile or something. But then we'll check that back trunk line too. That's what I wanted to do. Make sure it's all set. We just want to make sure that's real tight. This trunk line here, make sure all that's tight. Make sure all that's tight going there. Like I said, we're going to run a vacuum on here. Make sure it's all nice and clean. And check everything out. Make sure all the wires are good. See, even these wires, they just put holes in them. There's no protection in here, meaning the steel, they don't have that, but there's no chance of putting a fastener through it, so that's okay. And then that's the only one that we had, those two wires that come up through the roof like that, so that's all right. And like I said, we're just going to check, we'll get some more mold kill on this, make sure that we don't have any dry rot in that corner right up there. That's what we're going to do. Make sure everything's nice and tight so we can put it together, and no worries. That's the way to do it, no worries. You know, now we checked everything. The last thing you want to do is find out after the fact that you had a compromised wire or something. Oh, here's one right here. There's one. There's a ferrule in there. So we're going to protect that one, and we'll check this one over here. That's what we're up to. All right, we got our insulation back in. Got our mold kill down here. And then we also fixed those wires in there. We put a bushing in there. We did those. The 4 down there, we got those. This one didn't need one, but we were our only concern on this one really, because it didn't need one inside. I just didn't want to hit a wire, and I'm looking at this right here, which is where they had their screw, but it doesn't look like it ever went through. So we just taped them down just to make sure, because we're going to be going in that same line right there. So we just want to make sure that we got all that down. Insulation's down, tucked in, and now we're going to get our decking on here and start fastening everything together. We checked our trunk lines, those were great. We had no problem with those. So onward and upward. All right, so now we redecked it, and you can see our protective strips. And now we're getting some glue on it. We just haven't glued the sheet yet. We're going to do that in a minute. Then we'll roll it over, roll it out with our balance roller and then a big roller, and then we do the other side. Roof is rolled out. Now we're just going over it with our big roller. Everything's all glued down. So get it packed down. And we got some plumbing here, plumbing over there. Get our vents in. We got rock and roll. We're done with our MInnie Winnie RVRI September 3rd, September 2020. So this is just a stamp we put on here so we can monitor the performance of the roof. So when they come back for inspections, if there's anything that's not looking right and we think it's, you know, defective for whatever reason, at least we can go, hey, when do we put this on? The other thing is when he goes to sell this, there's some people going to come up here and look at it and they'll go, hey, we might have to put a roof. You go, no, I just put that on, you know, 2020 here in September, so it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever years old, you know. And this is a 20-year roof system. This is a 20-year roof system. The covers were kind of cracked, so we replaced those. And also we were missing those little brackets, so instead of messing with everything, we just said the heck with it and put some new ones on. Put a new skylight lens on too. And then everything's all double caulked all the way down here on this side, all the way down on this side. Everything's all double caulked. That's the way we do it. 2 layers, 2 strikes on there. So she is real bright and clean. That's for sure. Come out looking good. And get all the, even the gutter spouts on the end. You can see them right here. So this one had a gutter on the back. It's not common, but it had one. So the everything's all squared away. You can see we got the air conditioner on. We got these stands that kind of balance the AC out. And we got a counter flash on the AC. And what the purpose of that is, on the actual curbs, we designed a counter flash in here. So this portion down here is all welded, the whole thing. And then this piece, that's a counter flash. So when water tries to run up, it's going to hit that and it's going to get diverted around. It won't be running around causing an erosion problem. So that being said, this is the same way. You just can't see up inside there. But now when the water comes down this way though, there's only a foam gasket up inside there, and I don't want it to try to trickle in getting that way inside there. We also seal the gaskets as well. But when the water does come down, it'll hit this counter flash and then it'll go below the counter flash of the curb and it'll run right out. So on this side, if you were to put your hand up there, it kind of corrugates out. You're not going to get any water issues that way at all. So he didn't want his TV antenna on here. He just wanted the radio, so we put that on. Again, we got another new cover there. That's so you can open them up in the rain. And then if you want to clean them, you take out those couple of screws. If you ever get anything in there, you can clean them out and get everything out of there. But there's room up underneath there for any water or anything that would collect up underneath there. But there may be some pollen down the road. It'd be a smart idea to clean them out. Got 2 strikes all the way across here. And if you remember from the video in the first part, we had 2 termination bars that went through there, and it just looked terrible. So, you know, we fixed all that and put it in there. That's the way it's supposed to look, nice and clean. And then the only thing I'm going to do next, I got to pull this out, all this scaffold. We'll get it out, and I'm going to run a strike down this all the way down. We replaced the insert trim here. We replaced the insert trim on here, and that's a special order product that we get. So there's nothing on that side to really show you over there, but that's about us right there. So here's the membrane though. This is a 60 mil. It's a commercial grade membrane. And if you look, you could probably see some little squares in there. Here you go. You can probably see them a little better on this side. That's a structured membrane, and it's going to resist hail. It's going to resist tree branches and everything. Much better in your RV roof, that's for sure. But this is a commercial brand. This is what you're going to find on a hotel, office building, library. Same exact product. And this one is obviously white, but it's a 60 mil. That's how thick it is. It's 60 mil. So most of the other ones, the roof systems, are only as thick as the base of this. So you're getting more than twice as thick with the commercial roof. So that's about us. So we're about done with this here. And you know, we'd like to see them come back for an inspection. Ideally, we'd like to see them come back 30, 60 days, but we set up with a care package, and inside that care package is going to have a couple patch kits that'll have some caulking in there and some other little goodies, just in case they do go out on their first trip and boom, they get a tree branch that hits through there. Well, we can do a hot patch on there, or you know, they'll have the right material. You cannot, this brand here is Carlisle. You cannot take it and put GAF on it. You can't take Carlisle and put it on GAF. They're not interchangeable. No matter what anybody tells you, they're not. So I've had a couple of people at the supply houses tell me, oh, well, we're out, but you can use this brand. No, you cannot interchange them unless they're made by the same company. And Carlisle does make a couple other, they license it out to a couple other companies. But as a rule, you cannot interchange them unless you know exactly what you're working with. So that's why we leave the pieces or the extra little samples and patch kits, if you will. We leave that all in the care package. So the insert trim, do we have a piece of that floating around somewhere, that insert trim? Thought we had a little piece kicking around. I was going to show it. But our insert trim, it snaps. I'll show you that. I got a sample of it somewhere. I'll show you that in a second here. But like I said, we still got to break all this apart. All right, I found a piece. So this is the stuff they use. And it just sits on this track. Snaps in. It snaps in the track just like this white one right here. It's the same thing. And what I don't like about it is water can still get down in the track right there. So we've got some in white, and you can see how much that white almost overlaps that. But the way these ones are, on the end, you can see they've got grooves in it. So it goes in and over. I'll show you on this white one as well. See how they got them little grooves in there? You can see how it fits right in there. Hopefully this isn't blurring out too bad. Focus out. That's what it does, it snaps in. So what we did is we took all that out, and then even going down on this backside, I replaced it as well. So all of it's been replaced. This one here, all across the perimeter, and then the one going down the front over there and over there. What we're doing now is just breaking it all apart. We gotta get another one in here, but she's done. We appreciate you watching. Keep in mind, these are not DIY videos. They are not DIY videos. There's a lot that goes on putting these together, and I've had guys claim that I've got construction experience, I can do this. Well, there's always something with these coaches, and these are not houses, they're not built like houses. And they'll call up and they'll say, hey, what about this, what about that? And then they call back, what about this, what about that? And they call back, hey, what about this and what about that? There's a lot to them. There's a lot to them. You know, it takes a while for us to put them together, make sure they all come together well, make sure everything lines up well and is structurally sound. So, like I said, that's what I mean. These are not DIY videos. I don't want someone to put these together and then think they're putting it together the way we do, because I don't show all the behind the scenes stuff. I just possibly couldn't do all that videoing. But you know, I don't want someone to put it together and it fails on them, and now they're upset because, oh, that system don't work. It works. The system works, but there's a lot to it. So, well, again, we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next one.